Hi, welcome to What Are You Reading? A podcast with the Public Library of Mount Vernon in Knox County. My name's Christy.
And I'm Katie.
And this month, our town, we're here in Mount Vernon, Ohio, and our town decided to do a fun little event to celebrate Hobbit Day. So on September 20th, they are hosting our first Hobbit Day, and it's just kind of a Middle-earth march through Mount Vernon. And Katie and I were so inspired for the prep for that program, which is amazing. And we decided to pick J.R.R. Tolkien books. Mm-hmm. So it was pretty easy for me to decide because one of my favorite books is The Hobbit. Love it so much. So that was an easy pick for me. And Katie kind of wanted to break out of the box a little bit.
Yeah, because Tolkien actually wrote more things. So I went with The Fall of Arthur, which is actually a 40-ish page poem about King Arthur. So
that's so cool.
Yeah, decided to go outside the box a little bit.
Yeah, and I had no idea that existed.
I didn't either.
Oh, I was so embarrassed. I was like, oh, geez. That's, boo, bad me. So I know that you had found quite a few passages in it that were really interesting, and he has a very unique take on the Arthurian legends.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so most of us know the story of King Arthur, and this takes place after Guinevere and Lancelot are caught in their tryst, and Lancelot goes home, and Guinevere stays with Arthur, and now Arthur doesn't know what to do with himself, so he goes and decides that he's going to pick fights with everyone around him. Mm-hmm. So all the neighboring countries, it's like, here I come, which is one of the things that I think I have in here. Yeah, ride forth to war, ye hosts of ruin, hate proclaiming, foes we fear not, nor fell shadows of the dark mountains demon hunted.
We know Tolkien's history, and if you're unfamiliar with his work, he served in World War I. Mm-hmm. A lot of his experiences, and especially if you're familiar with The Hobbit or The Lord of the Rings, there has been a lot of talk culturally about how much the war influenced his work. Mm-hmm. This included, it sounds like.
Yeah, absolutely. And it is an unfinished poem, so he would work on it from time to time. There is a kind of warning in it that's like, you need to pay attention, because while King Arthur is off picking fights and getting some aggression out, he leaves his son Mordred in charge of Camelot. Mm-hmm. And Mordred does not have the kingdom's best interest at heart. So he figures out, it's like, well, the cat's away, the mice will play. Yeah. So he decides that he's going to kick Arthur when he's down. Mm-hmm. Arthur is the Round Table has ceased to exist. About half of his knights have gone with Lancelot. Mm-hmm. And really the only one who sticks by him is Sir Gawain. Mm-hmm. And even he is kind of like,
yeah. Not great.
Yeah, because Mordred was like, hey, you should go conquer stuff. Mm. And Gawain even was like, yeah, I'm bored, let's go.
Yeah.
So it's not until later. But nobody has that shiny perfection that a lot of the Arthurian legends have with them. Mm-hmm. So Arthur comes off as a warmonger. Mordred similarly. Even Lancelot gets kind of a bad rap, which and basically everyone is thinking Lancelot's going to come and save us, because Mordred tries to kidnap Guinevere, and he's decided that she is going to be his queen, and she's like, no thank you. And no, thank you. So she runs away, and she was like, oh, well, Lancelot will come get me, because he'll hear about it.
Yeah.
And Gawain was basically like, if Lancelot's if he's a good dude, let him prove his repentance, his pride foregoing, uncalled coming when his king needeth.
Wow.
So even Gawain and Arthur are like, well, if he finds out that we're in a bad way,
yeah,
he'll come. Meanwhile, across the aisle,
indeed,
with Lancelot, he's like, well, if they needed me, they'd ask for me.
Yeah.
So I'm just gonna chill here because I don't want to get kicked out again.
Yeah.
So to a certain extent, I understand why he wouldn't jump in.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, you banished me. Why would I go back and put myself in that position?
That trope that we see in even romance, right? Where it's like a miscommunication. No one's telling. It's kind of like, oh no, you make the first move. Oh, I'm going to wait over here and you have to say something first. So nothing's ever going to get done because both of you are kind of on your opposite sides, which I'm sure, surviving World War I as he did, being, just a small potato, Hobbit reference. Just being a small fry in the infantry, as opposed to seeing these wildly powerful kings and knights who are kind of controlling the chessboard, right? So I can definitely see why he would have this viewpoint on Arthurian legend and not be favorable of it, and the warmongering and whatnot. Yeah. So would you recommend this to everybody?
Yeah, it's really interesting. It's an interesting take on the Arthurian legends. The book, you can see that the book is more than 44 pages. There's a lot of, book is edited by J.R.R. Tolkien's son, Christopher. And so he has a lot of notes about what was going on, explanations of certain things that unless you are an Arthurian scholar, you would have missed. And I think kind of puts in historical context when his dad was writing a certain section or that. So if you just want to read the poem, perfectly easy to understand. It's got a little bit of old-timey English in it.
Awesome.
But not so much that the average reader can't get something out of it.
That's awesome. And it's really nice to have that input from Christopher to kind of explain. And if you do have any questions, you can look to those footnotes to see what does this mean? And get a little explanation, jump back into the text.
Yeah.
That was something I didn't think I would like. And we've talked about this on the podcast before, but A Clockwork Orange by Burgess, that was something that there was a lot of Russian words. And a lot of things that he just made up as well. So it was really nice to almost have a glossary that you can go back to and say, oh, this is what this means. So that is really great.
Yeah.
And a pretty quick read, too.
Oh, yeah. It's definitely a pretty quick read. And it's in the nonfiction section where all the other literature is. So, I think it was interesting, and it doesn't take all that long to read. So unless you want to really deep dive into it.
Yeah, and it's really nice to read, to explore his work outside of the most popular titles, which obviously I picked.
Yes.
But I love The Hobbit so much, and it's so, so cute. So my pick was The Hobbit. And it follows Bilbo Baggins. So if you are a fan of The Lord of the Rings, like me, I was introduced to it first through the films because I had the books, but they were so massive that every time I cracked them open, I am not going to lie, you guys, I would get 10 pages in and I was struggling. So when the films came out, my cousin Mike, shout out to him, he is a huge fan. He has read everything that Tolkien has written and that Christopher has released after J.R.R.'s death. He drugged me to the movie and said, you've got to come at least watch the film and see what you think. and I instantly fell in love with those movies.
Mhm.
So my freshman year in college, we were assigned The Hobbit, and I was very excited to give that a chance.
Mhm.
And this story kind of gives you, we meet Bilbo, older Bilbo, in Lord of the Rings.
Mhm.
And as we all know, the Hobbit films came out after the initial Lord of
Mhm.
the Rings trilogy. So we're introduced to the Hobbits in this book, and Bilbo, and who we know as Gollum. We are introduced to all of these characters,
Mhm.
you know, from when they were young. And I love the opening passage about hobbits, which I think really describes them so well, and the world itself.
Mhm.
Because after I'd enjoyed the films and was getting a better understanding of the world, I had a lot of questions that The Hobbit was able to answer.
Mhm.
So The Hobbit starts out with this passage. In a hole in the ground, there lived a hobbit, not a nasty, dirty, wet hole, filled with the ends of worms and an oozy smell, or yet a dry, bare, sandy hole with nothing in it to sit down on or to eat. It was a hobbit hole, and that means comfort. It had a perfectly round door, like a porthole, painted green, with a shiny yellow brass knob in the exact middle. The door opened to a tube-shaped hall like a tunnel, a very comfortable tunnel, without smoke, without paneled walls, and the floors, tiled and carpeted, provided with polished chairs and lots of pegs for hats and coats. The Hobbit was fond of visitors.
Mhm.
So I love that introduction to
Mhm.
this race of beings
Mhm.
who want nothing more than to enjoy their life in this pastoral countryside, buried in the earth and surrounded by warm, comforting things,
Mhm.
colors, food,
Mhm.
entertainment. You know, the hobbits are kind of famous for their enjoyment. And Bilbo is also known for loving the comforts of life.
Mhm.
So he does not like to be bothered, and he likes to rest and enjoy and eat all of his yummy little dishes, and visit with those that he loves and adores. But when the wizard Gandalf comes along with a band of homeless dwarves, Bilbo is drawn into a quest where he must leave the comforts of Hobbiton and his hobbit hole and experience orcs and giant spiders and even a giant dragon who's terrorizing the countryside.
Mhm.
So Bilbo is taken on this very magical journey where he meets other wizards. We're introduced to one of my favorite wizards, who is Radagast the Brown. And he's kind of what I picture as like a Santa Claus. So we learn a lot about Gandalf and the wizard race. And, we have Gandalf the Grey. We have Radagast the Brown. So we meet some really interesting characters throughout The Hobbit that really give you a great starting point if you do decide to jump into The Lord of the Rings, in my opinion, because this is something even my 16-year-old read this a couple of years ago. It is very easy to read. And just a really fun little story where we get to meet the dwarves outside of Gimli, who we are used to. So we get to meet Thorin Oakenshield and his band of merry dwarves who are able to still find enjoyment in life, even though they're, looking for some place to live and trying to get a band together to, fight what's happening to their land. So yet again, this is the lead up to some horrible war, which we all know, comes to fruition in Lord of the Rings. So this is such a fun little read, and it's very quick, and just a lot of enjoyment to have out of this one. And then you can watch the movies, and learn even more about the Hobbit and Bilbo and the relationship that he has with Smeagol. So it's a good time.
Yeah, and I actually, you talked about the bricks that are the Lord of the Rings books.
Yes.
I actually listened to the entire series, and
awesome.
the man who narrates it is fabulous.
Oh, that's awesome.
And even the parts where they're singing, he actually sings.
Wow.
So yeah, whether you want to read it in print or read it with your ears, it's a good time.
That's awesome. And of course, we have all of that available. So with your library card, you have access to not only the physical copies, but of course the audiobooks, the e-audiobooks. So if you're using Hoopla or Libby, all free with your library card, where you can download these and listen to them as well, or read them if you would like to physically. There is something to be said about those audiobooks, especially with the dramatizations that we're already comfortable with if you've seen the films. And I, of course, my last thing I will mention about this is that when the Hobbit movies came out, Denny's released the Hobbit, a Hobbit themed, but option on the menu. And I have lamented the loss of those Radagast puppies, which were like sweet hush puppies that were like covered in cream cheese. I still talk about those, obviously, to the point where I had to mention it today. So shout out to the Hobbit whole breakfast. Rest in peace to the Radagast puppies that I will miss so much for the rest of my life. So thank you guys so much for joining us. And we will be back next month for a spooky edition of What Are You Reading? So be on the lookout for that. We've picked some really great spooky titles, and we can't wait to talk to you about those too. So thank you so much, everyone, and we'll catch you next time. Bye.
Bye.